Hey Practice Biopsy, it's DeAngelo Dr. Webster here, and today I am going to be walking you through this educational packet to address a common question that I get all the time from dentists, which is how do I grow my practice? And that's actually a bad question, and we're going to find that by the end of this. So when we say I want to grow my dental practice, that could mean a lot of different things. And in this educational packet here, we're going to go over what I have as a simple blueprint to clarify 5 different ways that you as a dentist can actually grow your dental practice. And here to the side, you're going to see that we have a PDF document which you can download and read along with, and we have the video here. I know that some of you who are in Practice Biopsy learn better through reading, and some of you learn better through listening or video, which is why you'll have both options available to you for this. So the purpose of this document is to address the idea that when most dentists talk about growing their practice as a desire, they don't really have clarity around what that means. Growth is not one thing, it's multi-directional. There's many different aspects of a practice that you can grow and develop, and they each are multimodal, so they require different things, different changes that you have to make, different things that you have to take away to grow in that direction. And when you grow in these different directions, there's different costs associated with growing in such a direction. And usually there's just a lot of ambiguity around it. So you can treat this as almost a self-assessment. So I challenge you, if you are a dentist who has said, I want to grow my dental office, I want to challenge you to figure out what you really mean when you say that. If you're not able to distinguish the type of growth that you want to have, then many times we can find ourselves having an unintentional growth, which results in operational bloat, which means basically we're working really hard and we're just ending up more stressed out and not necessarily getting the outcome that we want because we haven't necessarily clearly defined the outcome that we want. And then we end up with this operational bloat. So we're going to look at this diagram that I created here for us. This is a pentagon which is going to go over 5 different areas of growth which we could pursue as dental practice owners when we have the goal of growing our practice. So I challenge you, which of these 5 are you really thinking about when you are wanting to grow your practice? One thing that you could do to grow your practice is to get more patients, more volume, more humans that we're helping in the community. Another way is you could actually physically grow your team. So if you want to grow your practice, you could grow your team, and that provides more potential revenue. That provides more insulation to staff turnover. For example, if you have a team of 2 and one person leaves, half of your team is now gone. If you have a team of 20 and one person leaves, that's a lot less detrimental when it comes to turnover. I think most of you probably mean this one down here, which is more profit. Many dentists, when they say they want to grow their practice, they really mean they want more profit, which is the amount of money that they take home at the end of the week, the month, the year. And if we want to grow profit, we really don't even have to do these other ones. We don't need more patients or a bigger team or more revenue. There's other ways to do this. And this one is the one I think most of you probably mean when you're saying you want to grow your practice. Something else you could do is more revenue, okay? So this is your top line. Profit's your bottom line. Revenue is your top line. And some of you want to increase that top line, especially if you're going to be selling your practice soon, or if you have multiple offices and you're trying to increase the valuation metrics. This could be very good. This could be what you mean by grow. You also could mean growing your physical space. Maybe you want to build out some more ops. Maybe you want to increase your footprint. Maybe you've completely outgrown your space, or so you think, and you want to move down the street to a bigger building. So we're going to consider all the pros and cons of the 5 different areas that we might mean when we say we want to grow our practice. And again, have you really thought about it? Or do you have the blanket statement of, I want my dental practice to grow? Could mean a lot of things. Physical space additions is the one we're going to talk about first. Okay? So this is the one where we would actually grow our building. Okay? So when we're increasing our footprint of the space or moving to a bigger building, this is a permanent change, and it's an expensive change where we're changing facilities, we're adding operatories, we're increasing our square footage. This has the biggest upfront cost of any way to grow the office, and there's no guarantee that we're going to get the outcome that we want. I've seen dentists before move down the street to a bigger building, and not only are they not busier than they were before, but not as many patients followed them as they thought, and their practice actually shrunk, and they took a big step back. I've also seen dentists go to a new, bigger space and do phenomenal. So it's not a sure thing. All right, when you do this, it's a big investment, and you really have to understand your demographics to know if this is going to be worth it. If you're moving locations, if you're building out an operatory, you're doing some construction, or adding onto the building, keep in mind that there can be ongoing upkeep costs. So maybe previously you needed $50,000 a month to break even, and now you need $65,000 a month to break even because you have more upkeep now. Maybe you expand in your facility, and now you have more staff, and now your payroll's higher, and there's a whole cycle of additional upkeep that happens when we are increasing the physical space. So keep this in mind. This is a permanent fix that often has long-term costs, and the demand for it really has to be there if this is going to be your approach to grow the practice. Next one we're going to talk about is more revenue. Okay, more revenue is probably the most celebrated form of growth among the dental community. This is the one that's easy to measure, and it's also very strongly socially reinforced. So if you say you have $1 million dental practice, or a $2 million or $3 million dental practice, that is something that dentists like brag about in our circles and in our social media groups. But increasing your top line numbers, though it does typically increase your valuation when it's time to sell, it doesn't automatically increase the profit, which that is what most dentists, I think, really care about at the end of the day, is how much money they have to take care of their family and support their lifestyle. Many times, depending on how you grow, you may grow your revenue, and that can coincide with declining profits. It's not automatic that they both go up. Sometimes the way that we grow the top line has added costs which decrease our bottom line. For example, let's say that we grew the practice by $300,000 extra in annual revenue, but we're spending an extra $18,000 a month on the cost of that growth, the supplies, the lab costs, the payroll. And though we may have increased our annual revenue by $300,000, maybe the bottom line has only increased by $20,000 or $30,000, which is a 10x difference. Okay, so yeah, it's an increase. You're making a little bit more here, but look how much extra work you're doing. Okay, this is a 10x difference, and not necessarily in a good way. So if your goal is revenue growth, ask yourself, how can I increase revenue without also dramatically increasing the operational drag and overhead expenses within the business? Where are the low-hanging fruit that will allow the business to generate more revenue without significantly increasing the overhead complexity and expenses? Next one we're going to go to is more profits. All right, so unlike when we are referring to revenue growth, profit growth often occurs quietly, and it's less glamorous, and sometimes there are not even any visible changes. Sometimes we're just making a couple changes behind the scenes, trimming the overhead, leaning things out 2 or 3% here and there, and we have a really big increase in our profit margin. You know, maybe we have better discipline with our scheduling. We renegotiate with some labs. We renegotiate with some PPO insurance companies. And we could take a $1.4 million practice, for example, and if we increase that by just 5 percentage points, you know, shave an overhead percentage there, shave one here, 5 percentage points on that can increase your annual take-home income by up to $70,000 in this example, just by making a few tweaks. And this doesn't require any structural changes, any staffing changes, any facility changes. And this is an easy way to grow your practice that requires just better working with what you have. Again, no new rooms, no big ribbon cutting moments. This is really quiet. Not everyone's going to see the impact, going to see the changes. This is what I talk about with lean efficiency dentistry. This is where we make our small little 1% changes again and again and again. And the small little 1% changes compound to increase our profits without having more procedures, more technology, more services. We don't have to do any of that. We're just allowing the owner, who is ourselves in this situation, unless you're an associate watching this, we're allowing the owners to streamline the systems and do things better while not increasing the complexity, and a lot of time decreasing the complexity. Another good way to grow the practice is by adding more new patients. This is another thing that's really easy. It doesn't require a big upfront investment. It doesn't require huge operational changes in the office. It doesn't require very often new staff. You don't have to do construction. You don't need to build another op. You just need to keep your schedule more full than it is. And you can do this by utilizing capital efficient ways to grow your practice. There are many ways that you can grow an office, and some are more cost effective and some are less. If you're going to pay a marketing company, $30,000 to do your marketing, that's not the most effective way. If you're going to utilize social media, if you're going to utilize your ability to get out in the community and do hand-to-hand. When I first started my practice, not a lot of people know this, but I would actually go into the community and I would take goodie bags and I would walk through neighborhoods, like residential neighborhoods where people lived, and I would knock on doors, introduce myself, and say, "Hi, I'm Dr. Webster. I am the new dentist downtown, and I would just like to introduce myself to you. Here's a small little gift from me. If you ever need a dentist, I will take good care of you." And I introduced myself in that way to people for 6 weekends in a row for about 3 hours a day. So I did like six Sundays, 3 hours of walking through neighborhoods, and I just went hand to hand, person to person. You guys know that I have had great luck with social media marketing. When I really have my systems going, I get between 70 to 120 new patients a month doing Facebook ads. Facebook ads still work really well. I teach and used to teach a live seminar on Facebook marketing strategies for dentists. I don't teach it live anymore, but the last live CE that I taught was recorded, and you can buy that seminar recording and download it and have it and watch it. And it also comes with a training manual that you can use that kind of guides you with all the steps. You get a companion manual, and because you are tuning in and watching this, you can get a special promo code right here, Packet 99, and if you put that in, you'll get a nice little discount on the DIY Facebook marketing. If you have the PDF that you're following along, you can just click this link right here to access that. If you're not following along with the PDF, you can just go to practicebiopsy.com, go to the continuing education courses sections, and you will find the DIY Facebook marketing. And this is a great little just under 2-hour class that I used to teach live that you guys can definitely watch the recording of, and I hope that helps. Great ROI. If you get one new patient, it's worth it. The next thing you can do is you can grow by having more staff. So more staff can give you a greater capacity to see patients in theory. But many times when dentists want to hire more staff, it is pursued as a response to stress. They're feeling overwhelmed. They're feeling like they don't have enough help, so they start hiring. But the problem is now payroll is increasing a lot, and your fixed costs are rising every month, and your profits are getting compressed, and now you're feeling more stressed out. So a dentist who adds a $70,000 a year team member to take things off their plate may discover that production really didn't increase that much to offset the cost, and now they're more stressed out than ever. Many times when a dentist thinks they need to hire, think if this is you, many times when a dentist thinks they need to hire, it's really just exposing a weak or poorly trained team. Like if your team members that you have now were really good, you might not feel like you need another one. You might feel like you need more people because the people that you have are not A players doing a great job. So you may want to think, if you're thinking about growing your practice by expanding your team, does expanding your team mean you're hiring people? Or does it mean you're expanding your team by improving your team by better training the people that you have if they're trainable? If they're not, then growing your practice through your team might mean that you're upgrading the quality of your team members. If you have a bunch of C-level teammates, maybe growing your practice means that you're revamping your team with some A-level staff members, people that you would consider A-levels. And many times, dentists are surprised by how big of a difference that can really make. So the central diagnostic question of this document is, how do I grow? So if this is your question, how do I grow my practice? We know that this is not an omnidirectional question. There are 5 different ways, minimum, that we can really pursue the answer to this. And my challenge to you is, which constraint do you want to choose to face next? Because as we talked about when we looked back at this chart, each area of growth, you're tackling a constraint. You're tackling the profit constraint, the people in your office constraint, the patient's constraint, physical space. Do you have enough room? Are you going to tackle that constraint? The revenue constraint, the ceiling, your top ceiling there. Which thing do you actually want to focus your energy on changing? Which one of these would move the needle the most in the direction that you actually want to move it? Most dentists haven't really thought about this. So again, this is my challenge to you, is think about what you want to do. Which growth direction is actually your priority? What problem do you have right now that growth would solve? Maybe after going through this document, you realize you don't even want to grow your practice. Maybe after going through this document, you realize that you just need better stress management. Or maybe you realize that you think you need to grow it, but when you look at what your financial goals are, you realize that you already reached your financial goals. I don't know. But what problem that you're having does growth solve? Is there a bottleneck that you have that growing in one of those areas would fix? When you do that, what new problem would it introduce? Okay, so maybe let's say that you decide to tackle the issue of new patients, and you say, you know what, the answer to my problem is getting more new patients. Well, what new problems will more new patients introduce? You're going to be more busy. The phones are going to be ringing. Okay, so maybe now, when you weren't before, you're backed up at the front. Maybe now people could get in a week, now they need to get in 3 weeks, and now they're complaining, and now you have more things to handle. Maybe your staff had a lot of time to turn over rooms, and they could take 10 minutes to do it, but now they only have 5 minutes to do it because now the schedule's actually full. So what new problems will your growth introduce, and what will you do to manage those problems? And this is the trade-off that you're going to make aligned with your long-term vision, energy, and your life design. Okay, so that's the end of this document, guys. I do want to make a shameless plug, kind of like I did for this Facebook marketing class. That was a shameless plug. I want to make another shameless plug. So before you add patient, staff, or space, or make any of these changes, consider working with Practice Biopsy in our bookkeeping division. You can have us help monitor all of your monthly numbers in your dental practice, probably for cheaper than your accountant is doing it right now. We also give you an ongoing monthly bookkeeping one-page scorecard that summarizes everything with charts and graphs on one page, so you can make growth decisions with certainty, not guesswork. You also get access to special monthly financial review calls from me. If you're really a go-getter and you don't even have a dental practice yet, then you will want to check out this here. This is our practice launch program. This is the CE course that I teach that helps employee dentists transition into becoming owners. We have currently helped over 250 dentists make a successful, smooth transition from being employees to being practice owners. Guys, if you like my content and my videos and my documents, please invite your other dentist and dental student friends to join the Practice Biopsy community. Follow our YouTube, join our Facebook group. Have a good one, guys.
Making it happen, and we so passionate. Right. With dental training, growing your dental practices every single day. Gotta keep rising, be a better version of you. We call it Kaizen. Yeah, Practice Biopsy. Going up, no stopping. Yeah, Practice Biopsy. Let's go.